So today we're going to talk about Mardi Gras, the spiritual meaning, Fat Tuesday to Ash Wednesday. You know, just like there are seasons, there's winter and there's spring and there's uh, summer and there's fall. New Orleans gets all four in one day.
Yes.
But, you know, we have different seasons, but we also have different seasons in our life, in our spiritual life, in our life with each other. And really, Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, and Ash Wednesday is a transition to another season. And even though Mardi Gras, his roots is actually in a religious roots, like so many things that happen that are religious roots, they become secular, right? Such as Christmas. Christmas is a very sacred holiday. It's celebrating the birth of Jesus, but it's been turned into all kinds of other things and it becomes secularized. And then sometimes people become distasteful about Christmas because of the secularness of it. But its origins were what? Its origins were about Jesus. Same with Easter. You know, we celebrate the resurrection. We don't even use the word resurrection day. We use Easter.
Right.
Easter is not a religious term, but it's become so secularized that it's known for a term that loses its origin. So the same thing is the case with Mardi Gras, but we're going to look at what is the original spiritual meaning of it and uncover that some today. And then we're also going to challenge you to enter into the fullness of that meaning and give you some exercises to do that. So let's look at Mardi Gras. What are its historical roots? As I said, it's about a transition in season. You know, Mardi Gras literally means in French, Fat Tuesday. Yeah, that's what it means. So it's translated into English as literally Fat Tuesday. But it's the day before the beginning of Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday on the Roman Catholic calendar is it's basically 40 days of Lent that culminates and ends in the death and resurrection of Jesus, that whole event. And so, you know, one of the nice things about the Roman Catholic calendar is that it attempts to relive the life of Jesus every year. And so different landmarks actually help you relive different aspects of his life. And one of his most important, probably the most important aspect of his life was the cross and the resurrection. Mm-hmm. And so the purpose of it is to say, we're going to take 40 days to prepare our mind and our hearts and our spirits to celebrate the most important event that has ever occurred in human history. Now, that begins on Ash Wednesday. So the day before Ash Wednesday is what? Fat Tuesday. So what it says is, all right, we're going to give you permission to indulge before you begin the preparation. Now, there's a difference between righteous indulging and unrighteous indulging. Do you know we all celebrate? If we have an anniversary dinner, we go eat a nice restaurant and indulge, right?
Right.
So to celebrate is really part of life, and it's an important part of life, and there's nothing wrong with entering into full celebration. It's a beautiful thing. It's unrighteous indulgence is where it gets out of hand, right? So Fat Tuesday marks, we enter into a level of indulgence before we turn into another season, which is Ash Wednesday. And as I said, that's the 40 days of Lent. The other thing about Mardi Gras and the days preceding Mardi Gras, it has this tradition. The masquerade balls have a tradition that go back all the way to the Middle Ages. And in Rome, Venice, Paris, you know, we were settled by the French, right? So that's where we originally got Mardi Gras. But there was something interesting about the masquerade balls, that the origin was to put a mask on that made you anonymous, anonymity. And it made it, there was such distinctions between the different classes, the rich, the poor, the peasants. But this one day of year, or these days of years where you actually wore a mask, gave you permission to interact, and basically said, all men and women are equal. And we're anonymous before God as one. You know, Alcoholics Anonymous still has that tradition. You know, it says everyone that goes into Alcoholics Anonymous is anonymous. And it doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States, or whether you're in prison, or whether you're a garbage collector, or whether you're CEO of Entergy or some major company, we're all the same, suffering with the same problem, and we're all human. So there is an aspect really of this part of the masquerading that originally had this symbolism of equality and a symbolism of, let me just make sure everybody's muted. Yeah, it had the symbolism of equality and a symbolism of we're all in the same boat before God, that we're all in unity. So there's the equality aspect. And if you notice, even in New Orleans, there's a lot of interaction between rich, poor, the different races that happens during Mardi Gras that doesn't happen at other times of the year. There's almost like a oneness that occurs, that you still have remnants of that here. The other thing about Mardi Gras is that, as I said, the origins of Mardi Gras were religious, and then over time have become secular. So even though there was celebration and indulgence before going into this new season, the celebration has obviously become excessive with drunkenness and with all kinds of acting out that is unrighteous, but that wasn't its original purpose. And then finally, the purpose of the new season from Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, to Ash Wednesday, beginning on Ash Wednesday, is to prepare your mind, prepare your body, and prepare your spirit for the cross and resurrection of Jesus. One of the symbols, if you grew up Catholic like I did, you know, they put ashes on your head, and they basically say, from dust you come, the dust you shall return. But ashes is always a symbol of death, right? Not in the morbid sense, but in the sense that you're about to move into a season where something in you needs to die so that you can be brought to new life. You know, what did Chris Valentin say one time? He said, in order for you to, something has to die.
For change. People don't like change because our creativity or creation, they don't like creation and creativity because it leads to change. And when there's change, something has to die. So anytime you create something new. Yeah, when something new is created, something has to die.
Something has to die.
Right. It's like, you know, spring, like fall comes, things die, and for spring to come back to life.
Right.
But if you create a new patent on something, then the old patent is not worth as much because there's a new creation. That's why people are always trying to subdue and smother a new creation. Like if you have a board, a church board, somebody comes up with a new idea,
right?
Then, you know, the other programs or whatever might have to die. So it becomes
resist change.
Yeah, resist it.
And personalize that for you is that in order for you to move into a new place, new life, that means what? Something has to die.
Yeah.
And so the Ash Wednesdays at the beginning of the Lenten season of the 40 days, it says, I'm putting on your forehead these ashes, and it's symbolizing to you, Leon, or to you, April, that today is going to begin a process of dying so that you can move to another level in new life. And so that's the season that we're moving into when we get into Mardi Gras and then into Ash Wednesday. Now, what is the spiritual purpose of Mardi Gras? First, masquerading a mask represents the equality of all people. I talked about that, and allow for interaction across social classes, and actually emphasizes that, and it creates a oneness in the celebration, which is nice. Number two, righteous fun and celebration is as important as sacrifice and fasting. You know, sometimes when we become believers, we're good at one or good at the other, but oftentimes we're not good at both. Like some of us might be good at sacrificing and fasting, but have a real hard time having righteous fun and celebration. And then others might have the ability to have righteous fun and celebration and have nothing to do with sacrifice and fasting. But do you know, in the rhythm of our spiritual life and the rhythm of the Hebrew people and the rhythm of Christianity, both aspects are important. Being able to have righteous fun and celebration and to be free is as important as sacrifice and fasting. But this is the transition that we all experience from Mardi Gras Tuesday into what? Ash Wednesday. Number three, the spiritual purpose of Mardi Gras is to allow yourself to indulge righteously, to indulge before sacrificing, abstaining, or fasting for 40 days. So it's allow yourself to recognize and to enter into celebration before you enter into this new season of sacrificing or abstaining or fasting for 40 days. For what purpose? To prepare your mind, heart, and spirit to embrace the benefits of the cross and the resurrection. Ash Wednesday represents 40 days before the cross and the resurrection. And 40, as you all know, and Leon could probably teach us a lot on this, is 40 represents a time of transition to a higher spiritual level. Just like Jesus had 40 days in the desert, right? Before he started his ministry and plunged to a whole nother level. The children of Israel were in Egypt out of Egypt in the desert for how long? 40 years. It was a time of spiritual transition to a higher level into the promised land, as many other examples. But that 40, this time we can embrace, we can enter into this as a transitional time for you and I to move to a higher spiritual level. And number five, the spiritual purpose of Mardi Gras is preparing your mind, your body, and your spirit for the greatest event of human history, which is the cross and resurrection of Jesus. It's an entering into a process that we actually open ourselves ever deeper and ever wider and ever higher to all the different benefits of the cross and resurrection of Jesus. And that's the purpose of the season of what we call Lent. Now, I want to tie this into the greatest commandment, and then we'll see what our activation will be. The greatest commandment, as you know, is to love the Lord your God, with all of your heart, with all of your mind, with all of your strength. And the second is this, to what? Love your neighbor as yourself. And so Jesus basically said, look, you can get rid of everything and hold on to these three things. Grow in a deeper knowledge and love of your relationship with me, with God. growing a deeper knowledge and love of your relationship with other people, and growing a deeper knowledge and love of your relationship with yourself. Those three relationships are the most important, and anything that helps you grow in those relationships in a good and positive way is good, is holy, is sacred. And anything that destroys those three relationships is an easy definition of that's what sin is. It begins to destroy those three relationships. So we know that the three most important relationships is God, your neighbor, and yourself. And the whole purpose, I would propose to you, of sacrifice, fasting, and abstinence is to improve these three relationships. That's the deeper purpose. It's not simply giving up meat because I need to give up meat and I can't have the hamburger tomorrow. Or it's not to give up meat on Friday so I can have a huge crawfish boil. No, the purpose of any type of sacrifice, fasting, or abstinence is the goal of improving one, two, or all three of these relationships. And so when we begin to reflect on what is it that I'm going to commit myself to do or not do in the season of the 40 days, it's going to be, what is it that will help me grow in these three relationships in a deeper way? An improvement in these three relationships can be done by eliminating something, by adding something, or eliminating and adding. Yeah. For an example, if I want to improve my relationship with my wife, if I tell her from 7 to 7:30, I will eliminate all use of my cell phone. I'll turn it off. I'll put it in the other room. I'll eliminate that. And what I'll add is quality time for me and you to talk and check in for half an hour. So if I did that for 40 days, I would venture to guess that it would improve my relationship.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah. So what you want to think about is when you make some type of sacrifice, that sacrifice could be eliminating something, or it might be adding something in your life, but the goal is to improve your relationship with God, with your neighbor, or with yourself. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the implications? Number one, righteous fun celebration is good and holy. It's only when it's unrighteous that it becomes not good and unholy.
Yeah.
Right? So righteous celebration is good, and we all need to learn to do that. Number two, there is a season for celebration, and there is a season for abstinence and sacrifice. Mardi Gras to Ash Wednesday marks the change of the season. Number three, all Lenten sacrifices are meant to improve our three most important relationships. And it's either by eliminating something or adding something, or what? Doing both. So this is our activation. And I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. And I want you to perhaps write it down or put a note in your phone. And we're going to come up with three behaviors, but three questions, answers to three questions. But the first question is this: what is one behavior to eliminate or to add to improve your relationship with God? What is one behavior you would either eliminate or you would add to improve your relationship with God? It could be an increased time of prayer. It could be some type of spiritual reading. It could be meditating on the Bible. It could be
30 minutes of worship
30 minutes of worship
a day.
a day. What is one behavior to eliminate or add to improve your relationship with God?
Don't watch the news.
Don't watch the news. Yeah. All right. Number 2. What is one behavior to eliminate or add to improve your relationship with others that you can commit to? It's one behavior to eliminate or to add to improve your relationship with others. It could be making a commitment to call friends, reach out to them, check on them, see how they're doing. It could be expanding your social network and just stepping out and talking to others. HollyKem and I were talking about one for me today, about just expanding, following up on some of the people that I've met in New Orleans that are leaders and making stronger connections with them. You know, what is a commitment that you can make, or one behavior? And these behaviors, we're going to ask you to commit to do those for the 40 days of Lent. So one behavior to eliminate or add to improve your relationship with others. And number 3 is one behavior. What is one behavior to eliminate or to add to improve your relationship with yourself? Oftentimes, somebody might say, well, I'm giving up drinking for Lent. Well, it's usually because they're drinking so much. They need to give up drinking. It's causing lots of problems. And it's not only a gift to those around them, but it's a gift to themselves. You know, sometimes I could add an exercise routine for 40 days. I wasn't looking at you. You could exercise routine. Now that extra exercise every day would what? Help you feel better about yourself. It could be eliminating sugar for 40 days. And it's a sacrifice, but it also may feel better about yourself, may lose some weight that you wanted to lose or whatever. So number 3 is, what is one behavior to eliminate or add to improve your relationship with yourself?
If you're giving up sugar, just apologize to everybody else because you're going to be in a bad mood for about 8 days. So it doesn't ruin your relationship with others.
Yes. And I want you to think about, write these down. And these are, like I said, we're going to challenge you to do these over the 40 days of Lent until we get to the Good Friday and Easter Sunday or Resurrection Sunday. But what we're going to do also is I'm going to give you an opportunity to share something that you're going to commit to doing, just to give others ideas to that. But before we get there, we'll have a chance to give, and then we'll go into sharing whatever thoughts or whatever commitments you would like to make. So if you wanted to give today, you can give the Voice of the Kingdom through Venmo, which is Voice of the Kingdom, or PayPal, Voice of the Kingdom -New Orleans, or you could go to www.voiceofthekingdom.org, and there's a donate button there. But anything you give, we certainly appreciate to help us continue the work that we do, and bless you for that. So we're going to get into our sharing in a minute, but we just want to bless everybody that gives and those that don't give, and just ask the Lord's hand to be upon you.
Sure.
Amen and amen.